Considering the fact that I've locked in over the past year or so, and essentially tripled my extreme count, I thought it'd be fun to rank all the ones that I have now beaten. This video will be following a similar format as to how other videos with the same premise are, like Technicals and Multiverses, but with a twist of its own. Being someone who enjoys the game more than the average person, I tried doing the ranking normally with just the gameplay, decoration, and song as criteria, but part of me couldn't shake the feeling that these rankings didn't feel like my own for some odd reason. That is why in this video, the score of each level will be determined by 4 criteria: gameplay, enjoyment, decoration, and song. Now you might be asking yourself, why would enjoyment need to be an entirely separate category from gameplay? Well, for me at least, I found myself in circumstances acknowledging that an extreme that I was playing had issues like bugs and less than ideal playtesting, but despite that, I would still end up having a really high enjoyment. Realizing this, I still wanted to give the levels that I quite enjoyed playing a bit of a boost, as this is literally my own rankings. Yes, of course it's going to be biased anyway, but I'd rather the list feel a lot more like my own actual opinions, if that makes any sense. Now knowing this and the 4 criteria that each level will be ranked on, let's talk about the weighing of each criteria. My enjoyment will take up 30% of the level's total score, gameplay 40%, deco 20%, and the song taking up 10% of the level's score. If certain levels happen to get the same score, which there are a lot of that in this video, the tie will be broken by my own personal opinion. One last note before we get into the video, but I have marked the levels that I think deserve the best or worst in a certain criteria with gold or red text respectively, to add another fun little thing to the video. I believe that is all, and without further ado, let's get into the rankings. For a level to rank all the way down at 150 on this list, it has to do almost everything really horribly, to the point that I actually hated playing it. And what better level to start off with than 8OX. God, this level just pissed me off to no end, dude. I can't even describe it. From the choke points, horrible balancing, and the abysmal luck that I got, to the overall just plain uninteresting deco, and the song that pissed me off to listen to over and over again, it just really did not make for an enjoyable experience at all. I know there are some people out there who actually liked playing this, and to that I say, screw you, this is my list, and this level is where it deserves to be. This is the only 0 I have ever given out enjoyment-wise, and I don't see that changing for a good while. God, this level is kind of funny, but it's also hot ass at the same time. The pre-drops gameplay is actually so just bad and not fun to play in the slightest. And then you get to the drop and it becomes a spam challenge that is 100 times easier than the pre-drop. At least that's what I think, because I'm good at spam. But it's also weird because the drop doesn't even sync at all. So I remember when I beat it, I literally had my music quieter on purpose when I played the level because it helped me whenever I got to the drop. I didn't hate playing this, but it's just pretty clearly not a good level. Also, I forgot I beat this for the 12 Demons of RF in 2024, and I intentionally put as much text and shit on the screen as possible, so that's why the level looks like that, sorry. There's a trend that will be noticeable for almost all of the levels that I have low enjoyments on, and it's that when I get super unlucky, that's when I start to really dislike the levels that I'm playing most of the time, which isn't particularly surprising, but this is an absolutely stellar example of that. A good 90% of the difficulty in this level in the first wave and drop ship, and my ass somehow managed to die at the ending over 10 times from 0. I don't think I need to say much else besides the fact that this level is the worst in the trilogy, and it's not even close. I don't know, honestly. This level is literally so free, besides having a few scattered choke points throughout the level, and that just made it quite annoying to play, despite how easy it is. The deco is nothing to marvel at either, and the song is fine. A very uninteresting level as a whole that suffers from the fact that the gameplay is dookie. Sorry. I mean, is it really that surprising that this level has a deco score of a 0? Out of the zeros that I gave, this one was probably the easiest for me to decide on, to be completely honest. I mean, aside from that, the gameplay is obviously balanced horribly, with the last swing copter and shit being the hardest parts for me by miles. But despite that, I still managed to have a good amount of fun with it. Going into a level and knowing what to expect will do wonders for your enjoyment most of the time. Dude, I have no clue how I enjoyed this as much as I did, because the gameplay is genuinely so poorly balanced, has so many weird and awkward parts, and is quite buggy as well. But somehow I did it. If I hadn't enjoyed this as much as I did, this would have easily been in the bottom 2 levels on this list. The song is also so bad and was almost a 0, but there was just one level that slightly beat it out. Yeah, this is that level. I feel bad that Squeak is this low because it really isn't objectively that bad, I feel. But for me, the song just got so aggravating so quickly, especially the part from 25 to 50%, which also just happens to be the hardest part of the level, so I kept on dying there over and over again, which just got me more annoyed the longer I had to play it and keep on hearing that same part of the song. This would have likely been even lower had I not gotten lucky on it, only dying past 50 like 2 or 3 times from 0, I think. Though I am pretty sure this is just a me issue though, because from what I can tell, most people enjoy this level at least a decent bit. It's just for me, this is the only extreme I've beaten where this song actively took away from my experience with the level. Oh yeah, sorry Artifiber, I like your art a lot, but this song just wasn't it for me. For a level that literally used to represent the pinnacle of difficulty in this game, you'd think it'd actually be good to at least some degree. But no, it's not. It's definitely an improvement from Aftermath at least, but there's not a whole lot of positive things I can say about Bloodbath. I got unlucky on it, the balancing is poor, the deco was good for its time, but it's definitely showing its age now, obviously. And yeah, the song is good, but I've heard it so much to the point that there's a limit as to how high I can rate it. Moving on. I didn't even realize that I had Kata and Bloodbath back to back until I started editing the video, but basically rinse and repeat everything that I said for Bloodbath, except it's easier, so it's just a tiny bit better. That's literally it. Yet another level that I got stupidly unlucky on. Like seriously, who dies at 91 4 times from 0 and at 97 3 times? Like, who does that? Well, me apparently. If I had normal luck, I definitely would have enjoyed Allegiance a lot more, but even now I do still think the gameplay is just meh. And that's basically how I feel about the rest of the level, besides the song, which is admittedly pretty decent. One of 2 levels on this list that I don't have a video of on my YouTube. I remember I beat this and forgot to upload it immediately after like I do for basically all of my extremes, and then I factory reset my laptop later that night, so I just lost the footage, but it's whatever. Oh yeah, the actual level itself. The gameplay to me felt like it was slapped on without the creators picking a song, and based off of the gameplay that they made, they tried to find a song that matched the best with it. Not a huge fan, though I can't deny the level itself looks pretty good. I don't remember how I found this level, but I remember seeing it and realizing that it was heavily inspired by Acu and being like, oh, let's give it a shot then. I liked Acu a lot, so surely this level can't be that bad. Oh, how wrong I was. This level annoyed me a lot when I was playing it, and I'm still not too sure why. It just felt so much worse to play than Acu, despite the 2 levels being largely the same in several aspects. I will say though, I do absolutely love Epilogue as a song. Something about it just scratches my brain in the right way every time I hear it. This level's gameplay is some straight booty cheeks in my opinion. The drop wave is so hard in comparison with the parts around it, and the level as a whole just manages to be really awkward and strange to pull off the entire time. So I was not expecting to enjoy the level when I started it, but I ended up having a lot more fun than I was expecting, in typical me fashion. Also, the deco is especially uninteresting and doesn't really contribute much to the level in my opinion. If there's any level on this ranking that got tanked the most because of my enjoyment, this would be that level. It really is a fine, easy extreme that most people would have at least some fun with, but I just got so obscenely unlucky on it, which again shows that trend that I mentioned earlier. Not much else to say. Funny balancing demon. I do think White Album has quite a nice atmosphere, and the decoration and song do work very well together, but some of the gameplay in this level, dude. The first click of the last cube I died at over 10 times from 0, and I really don't know why that click in particular needed to be that hard. Plus there were just a few clicks in every part that weren't very consistent, but the level being as easy as it did help a little bit. I'm just not a huge fan of this level, unfortunately. I know there are people who think that it's really chill and fun, but I just don't personally get it. The gameplay felt awkward to play, the deco is nothing to marvel at, and the song is fine. Perhaps I'll just never be a knower for this level. I just think it's the definition of mid. I will start off by saying that this level's song fucking bangs. It's just really good in my opinion, and I also do quite like Kaito's decoration style as well, as it's incredibly unique and eye-catching to me, though it does kind of show its age now. However, I feel like most people know that Innard's balancing specifically is not good at all, and I'm still surprised I managed to enjoy it as much as I did, considering it was like my 4th extreme, I'm pretty sure. The first couple times you get far from 0 on this level feel really cool, but then unfortunately it all just kind of falls apart if you don't get lucky, as the last third of the level is by far the hardest part, and I died in that section over 25 times from 0. The part from 76 to 82 in particular just felt very dysfunctional to me, though I did still manage to have some fun with it. I also remember I first tried to beat this on Deathlink with one of my friends, and we both hadn't beaten it before, and we only got our best to be somewhere in the 60s before we gave up, I'm pretty sure. And then I just finished it off a couple hours later. My current hardest at the moment, though I hope for that to change soon. I do like Unknown's Deco, but otherwise I feel like it's just not a great level, with the difficulty of the first wave hard carrying the rest of the level on its back. I don't really know though. Despite this level being my hardest, I just really don't feel a whole lot about it, besides the fact that I'm glad I never have to touch it ever again. I really do hope that I beat a new hardest this year though, as there are multiple levels in the main list that I have my eyes currently set on, but yeah. For being as old as Evangelion is, it actually syncs surprisingly well, aside from one small thing. It feels like the host of the level told each creator to make one singular click of their parts off sync on purpose, but have everything else be synced really well, because that is literally how the entire level felt to me. My other main gripe with the level is the ending being as whack as it is, with having really horrible hitboxes and just straight up weird gameplay, but it still syncs really well, so it's not the worst thing ever, I guess. I think the reason why I enjoyed this is just because of how straightforward most of the gameplay is. I just happened to be ship crippled, so it was still kinda hard for me, but honestly, I would recommend the Flawless for newer players if you just want to improve your ship skill, specifically with like straight fly. Also, just a small tidbit, I will say I'm not personally the biggest fan of the Yada Garasu song, but the part of the song that plays at Funny Games part in Yada is actually really good. Otherwise, it's not great, but I just wanted to say that because Funny Games part in Yada is also just like a generational part. This level has like 5 choke points that take up so much of the level's difficulty, it's actually insane. I'm going to list each of them out by percentage: 5%, 26%, 41%, 43%, and 46%. If those individual percentages were easier, this level's gameplay score could have probably been like a 7 or maybe even higher unironically, because I do really like the base gameplay of Paroxysm, and I also had old progress on T4, so I was already familiar with this level's style of gameplay, which is probably why I was able to enjoy it as much as I did. It's a Silo Easy Extreme, so it's kind of a snooze fest, but Forbidden Isle is not a bad level per se, it's just kinda boring. If you're good at the game and can beat it really quickly, it could probably be fun though, because that's how it was for me back when I beat it. Oh, Slendy Extremes. I feel like this might be controversial for me to say, but I feel like all Slendy Extremes have a degree of awkwardness present in their gameplay that just makes them less enjoyable to play the harder they get. My enjoyment for Galaxy Gas in particular definitely would have been lower if not for the fact that I only died past 50 a singular time from 0. But even then I just couldn't shake off that feeling of awkwardness as I was playing it, especially in the pre-drop and first couple drop parts. Still not a bad level by any means, but it's just strange how every single one of Slendy's Extremes suffers from this phenomenon. The only reason I beat this is because of how easy it is, and I specifically wanted to get a new attempt lowest on an Extreme, which had been on Azurite by Scylla for well over a year at the point that I decided to beat the set. I did end up getting the new attempt lowest though. Proteus is just fine in my opinion overall. The gameplay is so straightforward that it's hard to straight up dislike it, but it's also hard to really enjoy it as well. If you were just decent at the game, I guarantee you could beat this in like 15 to 30 minutes though. I always found this level kinda funny for some odd reason, and I think that's why I was able to enjoy it as much as I did, because I just never took it super seriously. And while I think the level is overall kinda whatever otherwise, I do want to mention the UFO spam part at 70 though, as using the structure as a graffiti wall is a really cool idea that I hadn't ever seen before this level, so I just wanted to point it out. I really do not feel anything towards this level. I got it recommended to me through a TikTok livestream of all places, and the gameplay seemed very easy to me, so that's why I beat it. I remembered seeing a comment by the creator that this level was meant to be gameplay focused, and while I do think the gameplay is fine overall, the deco in the first half and the song as a whole just really made it boring to play after a bit. Overall kind of a nothing burger level in my opinion. I beat this level before it got its update, and I kinda wish I beat it after, to be completely honest. I found it strangely really hard at the time when I beat it, and I think that's partially due to the fact that the level literally was harder pre-update, which I didn't even realize until one of my friends pointed it out to me when they beat Shimmering Chamber themselves. Still a fine level though, just apparently an incredibly easy extreme now. This is probably an unpopular opinion, but I'm not a big fan of Diamond Disco's gameplay. I think Drop to the Ending is fun and satisfying to do in runs, but the ending itself is just so hard compared to everything else, and the pre-drop just felt really awkward to play unfortunately. This level would have been a lot more fun personally if it was easier, which feels weird to say, but that's just legitimately what I think. I do really wish I liked how it played more though, as I think the deco is really cool and I like the pacing of the level a lot, but it just got kind of annoying to play for me, and also the song isn't my cup of tea. Oh, how I love this level. I remembered seeing it when it first got placed on the demon list back in late 2022, and immediately just falling in love with it for some reason. I recognize the fact that the gameplay is just not objectively good at all, but I just absolutely loved playing Launchpad for whatever reason. I also do think the decoration is really cool and matches the song really well, and the song itself is just amazing to me. For a while it was actually my favorite song using the list level, but that has changed now. Launchpad is definitely one of the levels that I just irrationally love a lot for no good reason, and I acknowledge that wholeheartedly. I remembered seeing Realtered on Technical's channel where he uploads all of his extreme completions, and mainly just thinking that I liked the song a lot, so I wanted to try it out. Unfortunately though, it just has some pretty noticeable gameplay issues that I think could have been fixed if the level was given just a bit more TLC, but it is what it is. Still a fine level overall, it would just be really good if it got that extra time put into it in my opinion. This level looks really good, but it is unfortunately offset and tanked by having a few dysfunctional parts, those parts being at the start of the drop. I was hoping for this to be more fun as I really like the song and it is one of only 2 rated extremes to use even by Seismix, but it just unfortunately has some pretty glaring gameplay issues that bring it down a lot. I don't know, I can't help but like this level for some reason. It also feels weird to say that this was literally my hardest at one point, that point being back from January to March of 2024, but that was such a weird time period looking back on it. I did truthfully have a lot of fun playing Stalemate Redux back when I did, despite it having its quirks, and I do think the ending has hella aura as well, though I know there are a lot of people out there that don't like this level. Veluta looks really good, to be completely honest, but it is unfortunately tanked by the fact that the end of the pre-drop is the hardest part of the level, and the pre-drop in general just felt a little too drawn out for me. It also felt way too hard for it to be as low as it is on the all-rated extreme demons list in my opinion. This literally felt like an easy tier to me, if you know what that means, so perhaps it's a skill issue on my end, but still, yeah. This level literally had the potential to be in the top 25 on this list if its gameplay was just polished more. It really is a shame because the base gameplay itself is really good I think, but there are just some massive balancing issues and choke points that make its gameplay score go from a 9 to a 6.5 literally. There's also a particular part at the end of the pre-drop that got fucked by 2.2, but then that adds the question of why hasn't the level been fixed yet? Perhaps because of how unknown it is, but still, it really needs to get fixed. But still, even after taking that all into consideration, I know I could have had a lot more fun with this had I not progress fluked from 18 to 82 and then mind blocked it for like 2 hours before I finally beat it. This level has massive amounts of potential, but unfortunately has some pretty big flaws. I've never been a huge fan of this style of level, unfortunately. Niwa also just kind of suffers in my opinion because of the fact that there is basically a more modern and much more polished equivalent that is basically the same difficulty as it, which will be later in the rankings. But Niwa isn't a bad level by any means. It's just kind of outclassed now as there are much better options out there. Holy fuck, I actually forgot that this level looked really good. But also at the same time, the gameplay of Unknown Civilization is so awkward, yet it still manages to function completely fine, so I guess good on the creators. I'm not even joking when I say this though, Unknown Civilization might have the most awkward gameplay out of any extreme that I've beaten. That doesn't mean that it's bad per se, as I still had a good amount of fun with it. Just know that if you try it out yourself, be ready for that. Take everything that I say about Shine's gameplay with a grain of salt, as I beat it pre-update, but I remember the section from 17 to 30 being miles harder than everything else, and 30 to 100 literally being borderline sight readable. That doesn't mean it wasn't fun, but that's just what I remember about it, which from what I can tell has been fixed with the balance update. Otherwise, just a pretty chill level. Just a fine level overall, I guess. I personally struggled with the section from 50 to 75 the most for some reason, not the last ball, and I died there a lot from 0, which got me a little annoyed, but I do really love how relaxed the atmosphere of the level is. The only thing I wish I did with Phantasmagoria was beating it before its sequel, Verisimilitude. Not a very memorable level, I have to be completely honest. The only thing I remember about Now Dead is that it uses Finale from Yet Undertale as its song. I kid you not, I literally cannot name a single other thing about the level. This level has the best swing part out of all current rated extremes in my opinion, which makes me kind of sad actually because the rest of the level is quite mid, especially everything after the swing. The last few wave clicks before the ending are also really dumb, because why are there invisible size portals that follow the player and make those clicks like impossible to gauge where you are? Just some really dumb gameplay choices made in the second half of the level if I'm being completely honest. I also hate the fact that Korai is a deplorable person because this song is so fucking good. There is so much I could say about this level, considering that it was my personal hardest for such a long time, but I'm going to keep it short and simple. Sand Sailor is still underrated by like 40 spots, if not more. Sand Sailor is harder than Cold Sweat, And I will stand by that opinion until the day I die. That's all. Another solo easy extreme. Azurite is just easier than Forbidden Isle and was my attempt lowest for a while, as I mentioned earlier. But again, it's just kind of a boring level overall. I can't really say that much else about it, besides it being one of the first ever extremes that I fluked. Just full of whimsy. Because of that, I can't really dislike it, but some of the gameplay is still a bit questionable, but still overall a fun extreme that is incredibly easy. I think literally anyone could beat this level, no matter your skill level. It's actually crazy how simple so much of the gameplay is. I'm not usually one to complain about visibility when it comes to levels, but the last ship of Dead of Night, you can barely tell where the actual saws are, and I died at that ship way too much as a result of that. Otherwise, the rest of the level's fun though, just kind of high CPS for an easy extreme, which I'm actually not complaining about because that made it more fun for me. This level looks phenomenal, but unfortunately felt quite awkward to play for me, especially towards the middle half of the level, as I felt like it was very hard to tell what did kill you and what didn't at times, and some of the click patterns just felt weird to pull off, which that was probably just a me issue to be completely honest though. I do however think the theming was done perfectly, so massive props to all the creators for that, as the cohesion throughout the entire level is incredibly impressive. I have no clue how this was the first extreme that I beat in under 1k attempts, as it's ironically still the hardest extreme I've beaten in under 1k attempts as well, which I really don't know how that's possible. I also remember the pre-drop being kinda jank to play because of moving objects making the timings a lot more precise than they seemed, but otherwise I did still have a lot of fun with it. I can't lie, I don't remember a whole lot about Dora Dora, as I beat it super late at night and also in a really funny VC, but from what I remember, it's just okay. If there's anything you should be able to tell from my ranking so far, is that the gameplay doesn't need to be amazing for me to have fun with it though. The main thing carrying Dora Dora is its deco, otherwise it's just a fine easy extreme I guess. I know Roymusi levels don't have the best reputation for their gameplay, but I honestly liked playing Grill Kill a lot despite the balancing issues it has, particularly with the ball and UFO in the midsection carrying the difficulty of the entire level. I also just think that this level is so raw for some reason. The way a lot of the objects in this level move and rotate just scratch a part of my brain that I never realized was itching. The first 10 out of 10 enjoyment on this ranking so far. Just to be completely transparent and to let you all know how a level gets a 10 for me enjoyment-wise, I'm going to explain my thought process for it. If I had absolutely zero negative feelings towards a level while playing it, so no annoyance, no anger, no nothing, that is how a level gets a 10 out of 10 enjoyment for me. So despite this level having issues like bugs and kind of weird clicks scattered around, they never once annoyed me at all, even the slightest bit. And I just found it really fun to play for some odd reason. I also remember that I used to hate Robot Chief Exposal's song, but recently for some reason I just started to really like it, which is also why I decided to beat it. Komodo also feels incredibly raw to me for some reason, and I think that's specifically due to the song choice in this case. Otherwise it's just another easy extreme that I beat really quickly for fun, which I got pretty lucky on this one as well. Yet another insanely raw level. Why are all the raw levels bunched together on the list? But anyway, this is the first extreme I ever fluked, which was from 45 by the way, and was the only extreme I had ever fluked in like my first basically 2 years of beating extremes. I also really enjoyed it because of said fluke. Not much else to say. I've heard from multiple people that the robot from 63 to 92 is the hardest part of the level by far, but I just do not agree. I found the pre-drop wave to be the hardest part by a good margin, and I fluked almost the entire drop twice from 0 as well. Also, out of all the extremes on this ranking, I think Smartest mode actually has the best reaction out of all of them. Here's what I mean. Okay, thank you.
Oh, I thought you like beat it. You didn't.
Okay. Yeah, that
released fucking dashboard, but when you got to the dashboard, like when you clicked that last dashboard, I thought you beat it. But you didn't because there was still a click that you had to release there, and I didn't know that like you didn't beat it yet. But then you did beat it yet, so good job, I guess.
Wait, I beat it? What? I didn't realize that.
No, not yet.
Oh. If you remember what I said at Galaxy Gas about the Slendy phenomenon, that very much applies to this level as well, but this did get a higher score due to the fact that I liked the deco and song a lot more, and the base gameplay was generally better than that of Galaxy Gas. I also do like this level because it kind of just gives off the vibe of a much easier Saul Goodman, which is a good thing because I absolutely love Saul Goodman. I fluked this from 35%, beat it in 370 attempts as a new attempt lowest after Proteus, and literally had 15 minutes of playtime on Precipitance, dude. I literally had 0 time to develop any negative feelings towards the level. I really don't know what else to say. Also, if you've been paying attention to the scores, you may have realized that the score has not changed for the past 5 levels. Yes, there was a 5-way tie for the score of 7.35. I had a field day deciding which one of them I liked the best. Yet another easy extreme that is just fine overall. I do really like the song, but I think Daydream uses it a lot better. I don't have anything else to say, literally. This is actually the only 9 circles extreme that I have beaten, surprisingly enough, but it is a pretty decent level overall. For being a 9 circles extreme, I think the wave parts look pretty good, and the gameplay is very easy to learn and pull off. Plus, I fluked the last wave, which is a nice cherry on top of the cake. I somehow managed to progress fluke from 1 to 77 on this. I am not joking, I swear. Despite that, I somehow do think that the pre-drop is the hardest part, but I had an overall pretty enjoyable experience with Gyeonggi. Also, I think that more extremes should use main level songs and remixes of main level songs that are not specifically clubstep, because this level uses Electroman Adventures V2, and I think it uses it very well here. Pretty cool level deco-wise, but it also felt a tiny bit awkward to me personally. The only other thing I really have to say about Blacklights is, why is the ball part the hardest part of the level? That just doesn't make any sense to me. It's still fun, but I just always found that kind of confusing. Fluke this from 28% in 15 minutes of playtime. Just an incredibly easy extreme that I had a lot of fun with because of how quickly I beat it. Also, fluking it definitely helps with enjoyment too. Dude, there are just so many levels around this range that I do not have strong opinions on. This level is no different from that. It is fine. That is literally all I can say with confidence. Overall, a pretty good level gameplay-wise, actually. The duel is very fun to pull off, though a bit finicky to learn in my opinion. The deco and song are both a little bit boring to me, though. All in all, a pretty solid level. Oh man, this is still my most impressive fluke to this day, I think. I really don't know how I fluked this from 49 to be completely honest, because when I beat this was like the first level I fluked since Awakening Horus, I'm pretty sure, so I was just legitimately in shock when it happened. I still remember how nervous I was when I first got to the ending, and I don't think anything will ever compare to the nerves that I felt there. That is without a doubt the most nervous I've ever been at Geometry Dash, and I think the atmosphere of Congregation did legitimately make me more nervous as well, which I honestly think is super cool, so props to Presta for making such an immersive and atmospheric level. I can't lie, I've always found this level incredibly cool, even back when it first came out, and pulling off the duels from zero just makes you feel so awesome. The balancing definitely could have done with some updates though, as I felt like every single attempt would just make it to the duels, just to die to the dual ship or dual wave. I still found it very fun despite that though. God, this level is so awesome conceptually in my opinion. The deco is super cool as well, and I would have had a super high enjoyment if not for the fact that I died between 50 to 80% over 20 times from zero. I will say though, that did make getting to the last wave super exhilarating. I do also just think that the last wave is a super well done part in general, and it is also the most fun part of the level. I really would recommend this level to anyone. This is actually my lowest enjoyment out of all the list demons and legacies that I have in my list profile right now. And I do still quite like Rust, but with how the pre-drop is on 2.2, and also me sucking mad booty cheeks at 25 to 50 from zero, it did make it a little annoying to play, unfortunately. I do still really fuck with how the decoration was done in this level though. Nashva cooked up insanely hard in that regard. This had the best song score for a good bit. I know there are a lot of people out there that don't like Epsilon, but I don't care, I absolutely love it. Sure, the gameplay and deco are a bit outdated now, but it's still just such an incredibly charming level to me. And while I think the parts in this level do vary a bit in quality, none of them ever felt bad to play or were unfun in my opinion. I will never understand the hate that this level gets. Back when Anahita was my hardest, for roughly a year, I remember when I beat this, I debated for a really long time whether Triadic Trials or Anahita was harder, as they both feel basically identical in terms of difficulty to me. I also just think Triadic should be a much more known level, as it's pretty decent overall. The dual part was a little jank from what I remember, but all in all it was a pretty fun and cool looking level that I think definitely deserves more recognition. The only reason I beat this was to prepare for another even longer level that's up higher on this list, but I did quite enjoy playing Light Travel. My only complaint is the buffer orbs part at around 75. I just really sucked at that part for some reason and literally died there like 5 times from zero, which was a little annoying. Though a cool thing I experienced with Light Travel is that when I finally got to the second drop from zero for the first time, my nerves were really high at first, but the farther and farther I got, strangely my nerves actually started to go away. And by the time I got to the last Cuban wave, I was just not nervous at all. It was an incredibly unique feeling that I haven't gotten from like any other levels, so I just wanted to mention it. This was my very first list demon, and Loki, I'm really glad that I chose it. Again, this is another level that I know not a lot of people like, but I think the atmosphere of Shardscapes just carries it to another level. Granted, the gameplay does have its flaws, as I died to the 4 red orbs in the first half of the drop like over 200 times from 0, which is kind of insane, but strangely it never annoyed me too much because of how consistent the pre-drop got. I just really like this level for some reason. I mean, this level's gameplay is just overall really solid. Gizbro knew what he was doing back then with this, and also with Chromatic Haze as well. I actually don't really have much else to say, it's just quite a solid level, especially for its time. The first thing I think of when I see this level is that I forgot to upload my completion of this onto my channel for a while. I Love Cyan is a pretty basic low level in my opinion, and while the gameplay is pretty learny, it does get really consistent after you have it learned, and the second half is also a lot easier than the first half. I don't really have very strong feelings about it otherwise though. The only reason I would ever beat Ocular Miracle is so that I could experience getting to Sir Geister and Zafkiel's part from 0. That part is just so cool to me, and that's also the only reason why I beat Diligence itself as well. I have not touched the other 2 levels and I don't really intend on it for a while. Just a very chill easy extreme that I fluked from 45. I still remembered when I decided to lock in for no reason to beat this, Shine, Galaxy Gas, and Maths all in a single day. And by a single day I mean as in woke up, beat all 4 of them, and then went to sleep, not as in like a 24-hour time span. This is my current hardest non-mega hack no CBF completion at the moment. I do like how chill Dump is though, although it could have gone without the several huge choke points scattered throughout the level, like 29, 41, and 52. 29 specifically is literally a click that you would see in like a main list, but yeah, sure, whatever man. I still liked it though, to the surprise of literally nobody ever. The drop wave is harder than everything else, but otherwise just another fine easy extreme. For being Woolsey's first created extreme, this level actually plays really well, so props to Woolsey for that. And as per Woolsey, this level just looks amazing as well. I kind of sucked at the middle portion for some reason though, so it took me a little bit longer to beat than I would have liked. I'm aware that there are a good amount of people out there that think this level is boring, but I just do not agree at all. I think Misty Mountains has an incredible atmosphere and theming all throughout the entire level. And in particular, I love the part where the sun peeks out from behind the mountain as the cube flies up into the duel part. I just think that part is so impactful and cool and awesome. I'm generally a huge sucker for levels with this kind of theme, and I wish there were more of them out there. Misty Mountains is really good. I'm a little sad I had to beat Shimmer on low detail because I think it's a really pretty level on full detail, and it's also pretty damn satisfying to pull off as well, might I add. I know there are a lot of people who think the pre-drop is the hardest part, but I personally found the start of the drop to be the hardest part by actually a pretty good margin. I also had to beat this twice because the first time I clicked didn't record because Shadow plays dumb. Very, very cute level. I just wish the start of the duel wasn't as weird as it was, as everything else about the level is incredibly straightforward due to how it syncs, but I just remember the start of the duel being not that and feeling a bit awkward. That's really it though. This level came out like 5 months after 2.2 released, and it still has some of the best usage of shaders and like the other new 2.2 stuff out of all 2.2 extremes in my opinion. The effects don't make it too overwhelming to play, and Psycho just did a really good job with this level. I just happened to get a little unlucky on it, so my enjoyment wasn't as high as it could have been. I beat this a long time ago, so I don't remember a whole lot about it, but I do think I remember the duel part being a little bit weird. Otherwise, just a pretty fun level. I still don't know how I beat this in 4 days when I was going for it as a technical new hardest. I never even found a consistent way to do the UFO, I just hoped and prayed every time I got there, and it strangely worked really well. The only thing I wish I could have done was beat it in full detail, but unfortunately I just couldn't run the waves, so I had to beat it in low detail, which in hindsight did probably help me breeze through the level a bit more. I really did impress myself with my performance with Cold Sweat, and I think that also just made me have a lot more fun with it as well, due to how quickly I beat it. I love levels that have this particular decoration style, and The Man with No Eyes I think pulls it off very well, despite maybe not looking the most technically impressive. The song choice was also immaculate for the vibe they were going for, I have to say. My only thing with this level is the robot at 70 and Last Ship being by far the hardest parts of the level, but in this case it's not even a bad thing because the rest of the level just got so consistent for me, to the point I was making it to the robot almost every attempt. This level looks really cool, but it does have some strange balancing in my opinion, with 42 to 68 carrying literally all of the difficulty of the level in my opinion, even though I fluked half of it from 0. I also remember when Superconductor first came out having such broad difficulty opinions because of the nature of its gameplay, which was really funny to see because I would see one person calling it like top 400 and then someone else right after calling it an easy extreme. I think this level's theme is really cool actually, and it actually manages to convey the underwater feeling surprisingly well, considering, it's not the most blue level ever. The gameplay is also really consistent and actually pretty satisfying to pull off, with my only gripe being the blue orb at 44 being a choke point. I really like this level a lot actually, and it could have been a lot higher if the first third of the level wasn't so repetitive gameplay wise. The last third, despite being the hardest part of the level, is also incredibly fun and satisfying to pull off, despite being quite learny. This level is also just like the definition of eye candy. Remember back during Nioh when I said there was a level that was basically just a more modern and cleaner version of it? Yeah, Miseretta literally is that level. The gameplay is just so much more polished and much more fun to pull off, and the deco and song in my opinion are simply just better than that of Nioh. If you haven't beaten either of them and have thought about going for them, just beat Miseretta, don't beat Nioh. I don't think it's really worth it. As I mentioned when I was talking about Triadic Trials, this was my hardest for over a year actually, and also my third extreme. It was kind of a jump in difficulty as I went from Acu and Napalm to Anahita, and I don't remember why I went for this specifically, but I do remember having a lot of fun with it. My experience would have been better had I not progress fluked from somewhere in the 40s to 97, but I still liked the level a lot, and the progress fluke didn't upset me too much. The other extreme that I don't have a video of on my YouTube. I don't remember what the exact reasoning was, but I remember I was having issues with my recording software when I beat it, and I just didn't think it was worth it to rebeat it, so I simply haven't. I really do love this level's deco and song a lot though, and in particular I love the second drop to the end, as I think all those parts are incredibly well done. Not to discredit the rest of the level though. The only other thing for me is that the first drop felt admittedly kinda jank to play, in particular the dual parts, but it's not really that bad. This was Insane Demon for quite a while, and only recently got re-rated to Extreme Demon, which when I saw it get added to the all-rated Extreme Demons list, I thought, oh, an easy extreme that's related to Destruction 19? Let's just try it out. And I ended up having a very fun time with it. I think the deco is very charming and the creator did a good job at replicating the style they were trying to go for. And the gameplay is all in all pretty solid, besides the UFO from 16 to 19% being a little bit awkward. I also do enjoy how the second half manages to feel actually pretty intense, especially from Zero, which I think is impressive considering that it's a pretty easy extreme. I Hate Ren looks really good, and I can't lie, though I don't think the song is amazing, it and the deco do match super well. The gameplay as a whole was pretty solid as well, though the wave part in the middle felt a bit hard to me in comparison with everything else, but it wasn't too bad. I also managed to get pretty lucky with it, fluking everything after the wave as well. This level just does not feel as hard as it is, strangely, but I do think that it's very satisfying to pull off, especially the wave parts. Farce Deco is also just very cool in my opinion, even if this is one of the weaker levels that they have made. I did unfortunately get a little bit unlucky on it though, dying way too much in the second half, especially considering that I found it to be the easier half, but as you can tell it didn't affect my enjoyment that much. This is one of the most unknown levels I have beaten, and god, I think it deserves more recognition. I think this level is so charming. It's mostly click sync based, but then you get to 20% and it just throws you into a randomized part, and it's just really good somehow. I had a blast figuring out how to get that part consistent, along with getting the rest of the level down as well. Super Contact is just filled to the brim with personality, and I just absolutely love it for that. And if you think that it looks interesting at all, I would definitely recommend giving it a shot. Once you have this level fully learned, it's quite literally Insane Demon if not easier. Still very fun, but just incredibly easy. If you haven't beaten the Memory Extreme before and want to beat one to get into memory levels, I would say Troll level is a great option for that. It is an incredibly approachable level. I've always loved the general atmosphere of hopping over puddles, as you don't see levels of this difficulty with this kind of style very often, and I do think it was done incredibly well, so massive props to the creator for that. Though funnily enough, before I played it I was always a little intimidated by it just due to how timings focused it seemed gameplay wise, but coming into it I was able to learn it and do runs much quicker than I expected, literally doing drop to 100 within the first like 10 minutes of playing the level. Unfortunately the level isn't perfect because I found the spider and ball in the pre-drop to be the hardest parts of the level by far, with everything else being much easier than it, but I still had a lot of fun with it and absolutely love its theming and atmosphere. An overall quite cool level that uses a massively underrated Creo song in my opinion. I do wish there were more extremes out there that use Dune, as there are only 2 rated extremes that use it as of right now, this obviously, and then also Dust Bowl. I think Dismal Dust Storm does its theming very well though. If anything, I just wish the ending was a bit easier, because it has some noticeably harder clicks in there that I died to multiple times from Zero. This is the only level in the Interface trilogy that I've beaten, but I have to say, I absolutely love Sigma Interface's atmosphere and just how it was done, as I think it's super pretty. My enjoyment was almost perfect as well, and it would have been if not for the blue orb at 37 and the wave click at 67 literally. But otherwise, I've just found it incredibly fun. This level certainly felt a bit wave heavy to me and also a bit high CPS, but still pretty damn fun all things considered. If you are into that kind of thing or have that kind of skill set, it would definitely be a lot of fun for you as well, I'm sure. I also do think that the gameplay, deco, and song all work together very well in Disruption. It just feels right for some reason. I hate the fact that the main thing this level is known for is the mobile completion of it with the most disgusting tap sounds ever. If you know, you know. Because I do think the decoration in Sarthix is quite well done, and I could go on a tidbit right now, but I'm going to save that for a later level, and just say that Zeptrus is the GOAT. And I'm pretty sure that this is the lowest Zeptrus level on here, and there are many more to come. Finally made it into the top 50. This is my current second hardest, and I beat it not too long ago, so it's luckily still pretty fresh in my head. I do personally quite like the decoration of Judgment Knights, and I think the gameplay is actually quite well done as well, especially considering its difficulty. My experience wasn't the most ideal though, because I did play it off and on for a bit, and then had to lock in really quickly to beat it for the RF 12 Demons at Christmas this previous year, so I got a little stressed towards the end of it. And it didn't help that every day it felt like I would just get stuck at the start of the drop for at least a period of time, and just eat up attempts for at least like 15 minutes before I would actually get anywhere, which did get annoying after I kept on experiencing that day after day. Once I would make it somewhere though, the rest of my sessions would be incredibly fun, and so were doing runs. So I can say it was all pretty good in the end. I quite like this level's theming and how it looks, though in my opinion it does look just a little rough around the edges in certain parts. The gameplay is pretty satisfying to pull off though, and the spider parts are actually the best parts of the level in my opinion, which is awesome because I love Spider, and Spider's like my favorite game mode. Just a very high energy and upbeat extreme, and the gameplay matches very well with the vibe of the level, I have to say. It actually syncs pretty damn well too. My only complaint is that I remember the last ship being a bit awkward, but that also very well could have been a skill issue on my end then, because I beat this like over a year and a half ago. This level has such cool decoration and such a cool song as well. Gem Attack really knows how to tell a story and create an atmosphere to a T. It's really, really impressive. The only not positive thing I have to say about it is the fact that the pre-drop kinda carries the difficulty of the level. Plus I played this level in a really stupid way, and it took me way too long to beat it as a result of it. Still managed to have a lot of fun with it though. Loltad is just like a genius when it comes to unique level concepts and executing them in near perfect ways. They're also just so good at gameplay in my opinion, and Rash is just so good and unique, and it manages to pull off everything that it tries to really well in my opinion, because Loltad is just simply the GOAT. Not much else needs to be said. I think Frozen's decoration is very simple, but it gets the point across incredibly well, which I think is really awesome. I also think the gameplay, especially in the second half, is very unique, but also very fun and satisfying to pull off. In my humble opinion, when it's done right, double clicks are the most fun gameplay gimmick used in levels, and Frozen uses them very well in my opinion. I just wish the first cube wasn't kinda jank. My very first Extreme Demon. I'm so glad I chose to do this for my very first, and I'm glad it's just considered to be a very reliable and good level for new players to choose when they are looking for a first Extreme to play. I just think Acu is such a great entryway and gateway for people to get into extremes, and Neshva just cooked up incredibly hard on it. Please, people, make more levels like this. The old trail just takes everything that Misty Mountains did, but just enhances it tenfold in my opinion, and Misty Mountains is still a good level. This level just has such an immaculate atmosphere and world building in my opinion, and it's also the only 2-player extreme that I've beaten, with the duel at the end being hard to learn, yeah, but it's so fun and satisfying to pull off. Like, even though I got pretty unlucky on it, I still had a lot of fun with it. I want more of these kinds of levels so badly, because I swear I just eat them up every single time. This level is super cool in my opinion. I just wish the first part wasn't as awkward to play as it is. Sorry, tried. Because the rest of the level is seriously so fun. I honestly don't have a whole lot else to say, just all in all a very solid level. It's also another tech verification that deserves more recognition in my opinion. Out of all the easy extremes that I've beaten, this is probably one of the harder ones to learn, but once you have it learned and start going from zero, it's actually insane how consistent this level gets. Towards the last like 5 to 10 minutes that I was playing it, it felt like I was getting past 50 literally every single attempt. I'm not joking when I say that Shotgun is probably the most consistent easy extreme that I've beaten, and I would definitely recommend it for that reason. I remembered playing this back when I first got my laptop and was still pretty bad at the game, and never being able to do anything before the duel for some reason, but I randomly came back to it like around May of 2025 and beat it super quickly. But god, I'm so glad that I was able to beat this on full detail, even though I still couldn't run some of the parts. The immersion that Dark Odyssey has is really awesome, and not many other levels can compare to it actually. Yeah, it's a Jonathan level, so the balancing isn't great, but it's still really fun and cool to pull off. Easily the best Slendy level in my opinion. With the Slendy phenomenon and their easier levels feeling not as awkward, this level felt overall pretty damn satisfying to pull off, with my only complaint being that the ending was pretty chokeable. I also feel like every extreme that uses the song is just good for some reason, and I'm not complaining because I quite like it. The pre-drop in this level is like the best pre-drop out of all levels ever, I can't even lie. It's just so satisfying to pull off for me, and it is just legitimately so beautiful. Obviously the entire level just looks phenomenal and is probably one of the best decorated levels of all time, but the pre-drop just hits especially hard for me for some reason. The drop does have a few awkward parts gameplay-wise as well, but it all gets quite consistent at the end, so it doesn't matter too much. Still just like a really good level. This was the first memory stream I beat actually, and it was an amazing one to do, as none of the gameplay ever felt unfair to pull off. It was really fun to learn, and it all got super consistent by the end of my time playing it. Plus I only died at the ending once from zero. I also personally really do love how this level looks, and considering it was made in literally early 2020, I think it has aged pretty damn well. In fairness, it's kinda hard to make levels with a rainbow color scheme look bad, but still, I really like Baby Foss Whipping. This is probably the extreme that I had the most fun learning out of legitimately everything on this list. There are like 2 other levels that might surpass it in that aspect, but we will get to them later. The only reason why Coral Cave wasn't a 10 enjoyment-wise was because the day that I beat it, I was having some really dumb deaths from zero, and while that isn't particularly the level's fault, it did still affect my enjoyment a bit. This level is so damn satisfying to pull off though, and again, just the double clicks you have to do in Coral Cave are just really well done, reiterating the point I made earlier about them. I also do think the theming and vibe of the level was done really well, even though it doesn't look the most technically impressive. I mean, everyone who knows about this level knows that its decoration is fucking phenomenal, and there literally is just no denying that. Through the gameplay is usually an entirely different conversation. Me on the other hand though, I think the gameplay is actually pretty solid overall, with the last ship in particular feeling really awesome to pull off, especially from zero. My only issue with the gameplay was the robot part in particular, just having some weird orb pad clicks scattered in there, but it didn't negate from my enjoyment all that much. I wish this level's gameplay had a better reputation overall because I personally still quite enjoyed it, and found it to be a fantastic first attempt at an extreme on audiovisual's part. I didn't even realize that this was so close to ranking at number 35 on this list, and that literally would have been perfect, but of course it has to be one off. Anyways, when I saw that there was an easy extreme that uses the 7th Clubstep song that's gameplay was made by Zoink Doink, I immediately knew I had to hop on based off of my previous experiences with those levels. I ended up having a blast with this as well, and from what I've learned, I think I'm just a huge fan of Zoink Doink's gameplay in general. Everything he makes is just so satisfying to play for me, and I can't wait for his future projects personally. This is also one of like 3 extremes that I've actually died at the last click on. I beat this pre-update, but this is just one of the most upbeat, happy, and high energy extremes that I've beaten, and that made it just so fun to play for some reason. It also definitely helps that I fluked it from 49, but this level just makes me happy whenever I play it, see a showcase of it, or see a completion of it. It's just so bright and cheerful that it's frankly just hard to dislike. It's also crazy how much better Daydream uses its song in comparison with Psychotic. I never properly learned how to pronounce this level's name, I'm gonna be so for real. But the progression and pacing of it is truly just phenomenal in my opinion. The entire build-up in the pre-drop and release of tension once you get to Bleed's part of the drop is really something special, and it's given me chills more times than I'd like to admit. I do think it's fitting that Bleed's part is the hardest part of the level as well, though maybe it's not the best balancing choice just looking at it objectively. It really does help to make it feel more climactic. This level's theming was also done to a T, I really have to be so for real. The song also in particular has helped me realize that I actually do quite like Vocaloid. This level is just the definition of chill, in my opinion. Even though Glisten doesn't do the best at click sync, the vibe of the level, and also the fact that it's spider and ball heavy, made it really hard to not enjoy for me personally. It definitely also helped that I beat it super quickly, and almost fluked it from somewhere in the 40s just to die at the last click, but then I beat it like 10 minutes after that, not having any other deaths in the second half besides 98, so I really did have a fun time with this. Again, kinda with what I said with OPSM1, Vars is just an incredible decorator, and this level just proves that. With how much effects and shit there is going on in the song, I don't know how they managed to get the song representation perfect on Citra, but Vars managed to do it. Like literally, if I was envisioning a level in my head while I was listening to this song, it would look exactly like Citra. It's actually insane. For being as difficult as it is, the gameplay is also incredibly satisfying to pull off, while also being well balanced and just generally being made very well. Very, very impressive level on all fronts. It's a shame that the creator of Broken Signal turned out to be a horrible person, because damn, as much as I don't want to admit it now, this level is really good. The gameplay as a whole is quite well made, and the level commits to its theme very well, and it's just all in all a very good easy extreme. A lot of the moving objects in particular I find really satisfying to watch, especially in the first half of the level, plus you can't not mention the melting effect at that one ship part. I still don't get how the creator did that back when they did. I also fluked the entire second half of the level, so I definitely had a lot of fun playing it as well. Finally, our first 9 out of 10 level. From this point on, I'm going to be glazing these levels so hard, so if I say the same things over and over again, I do truly apologize. But Clown Control is a fantastic parody of the Control series, with its decoration being very resemblant of the original levels while still having its own unique things going on, obviously. The gameplay is very well synced, it's also just frankly really easy and is actually quite sight readable as well in my opinion, so it just makes for a really great experience as a whole. God, I have wanted to talk about this level for quite a while now, ever since I beat it to be completely honest, which was like 2 months ago. My worst level has the first 10 I have given out gameplay-wise on this entire ranking so far. And maybe my experience may be a bit biased, but god, I love this level so much. And I unironically find it to be the funniest extreme that I've beaten. Because why is a level called My Worst Level, created by Mr. Poopy Burger, ranked so highly on this list? And why is its song so fucking funny to me as well? Maybe if I didn't fluke it from 24 and not had only like 15 minutes of playtime, I would have found it less funny, because I would have actually needed to get to the drop multiple times. But I kid you not, the first time I heard the song in a showcase of this level, I literally let out an audible laugh. And I found it funny the entire time I was practicing the level as well. I don't know what the general opinion of this level is, as it's not a super popular level as of right now, but I do personally think it deserves more attention, particularly positive attention at that. The current updated version of this level that's on the servers is absolutely fantastic, which I'm really happy about because before Manic Machine got that update, it had some actually pretty noticeable gameplay issues in my opinion. I'm so glad that those things got fixed because this level was already a really good remake of Chaotic Machine otherwise in my opinion, and it would have been a shame if its gameplay was kinda poop. I might low-key have to repeat this at some point because my original completion didn't have any clicks, and I would be more than happy to revisit it. Out of all the levels with a score of 9 or higher, 9 Blue probably is the level I have the least to say about. I don't mean that all in a bad way, it's just when a level has really solid deco, very well playtested gameplay, is well synced, has a fun song, and happens to be easy extreme, it's just gonna naturally rank super high for me. Not much else really needs to be said, just a very strong level in all fronts. This level is thematically perfect in my eyes. Though it's not the most technically impressive looking obviously, Rowan did a really good job with the deco, especially considering how unique the idea for the level is. A Newgrounds themed level is just still so conceptually cool to me. Also, the fact that every time the vocalist in the song says spam, you actually have to spam gameplay wise in the level is peak song representation in my opinion. The gameplay is also just generally really well made and incredibly fun to pull off. This level also just does not feel as hard as it is to me. It only feels around like top 800 difficulty, but instead it's over like top 600 if I remember correctly. I still haven't beaten Lit Fuse, believe it or not. But beating this definitely made me want to play Lit Fuse more as I really had a blast with this level. The decoration is just straight up beautiful and pairs incredibly well with the song, as the build up to the drop is paced really well and gets you super immersed into the level as you go far. I do strangely wish the level used shakes at the drop to make it feel just a tad more impactful, but it's already phenomenal as it is in my opinion, so I don't know, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. The only real negative thing I have to say about Court Circuit is how a few clicks in the first cube low-key carry a lot of the difficulty of the level. Obviously I still had a lot of fun with it, but I do wish the first cube was balanced just a bit better. Hey, another Zepturs level. Well, this time it's Zoink Doink and Zepturs. And from what you've heard me say about both of them from some of these previous levels, you can guess that I absolutely had a blast with this level. The drop gameplay especially just scratches a certain part of my brain, and the deco and song just help to complement each other super well. This is another level that I would also just describe as insanely raw, with Zoink Doink's gameplay style and Zepturs' deco style both working together insanely well, which I can't lie, I wouldn't have expected them to, but here we are. Also, the ending isn't that hard, despite what many people say. I always fluked it when doing runs, and I also fluked it from 0. I don't get why people struggle with it that much. But anyway, yeah, really good level. Oh man, this level just has so much aura. Rage was my former and most enjoyed extreme for quite a while actually, going all the way from October of 2024 to June of 2025, just to say that first. But god, this level plays so well despite having as conventional gameplay as it does, especially with all the drop parts. The Wave and Spider were in particular quite hard to learn, but holy, they got so consistent after a bit and were so fun to pull off. For as hard of a level as this is, its gameplay was masterfully done. Having the deco match the color of the game mode portal of each part is also a really cool idea as well, and I think it was executed pretty well, and I still think the level looks pretty good despite its age. I also have to say, oh my god, those last robot clicks are some of the best last clicks to end any level off with. They are so fucking aura. Like, there's no other word I can use, it's just aura. Okay, all I'm saying is that there's a reason why I chose to beat this level 5 separate times while messing around with OBS recording settings. Mordrock is just the gameplay GOAT, and this is probably one of, if not the best synced easy extremes out there at the moment. The only reason why my enjoyment wasn't perfect was because I literally beat it in practice twice on accident before I got my first completion, and I still managed to get kinda unlucky on it before I actually beat it for the first time. Still a really, really good level though. Yeah, remember how this level's prequel, Phantasmagoria, was at 114 on this list? Yeah, Verisimilitude is just miles better in every single aspect. The gameplay is much more balanced and also more satisfying to pull off. The deco is cleaner and it's just more visually pleasing to look at in my opinion. And obviously the song is subjective, but I do think it's better as well. It also definitely helped that in this case I beat the level super quickly and actually fluked the last ball as well. But even without that, this level would have just ranked so much higher than its prequel. Out of all the prequels and sequels that I've beaten on this list, this is definitely the starkest difference between any of them. Ugh, like I know I shouldn't be glazing this much, but like, it's hard not to when every single one of Zeptru's levels that I've beaten, I've had a ton of fun with. Like, it's actually unreal. This level is so damn beautiful to me. Like, even now I still get chills whenever I play the dropship or the last wave of Sazeracs. There is just something so emotional about the way that Zeptrus decorates that truly makes her stuff one of a kind in my opinion. And just looking at the base gameplay, you might be like, oh, there's no way it's that fun. It is. It's extremely fun. I'm so glad that this level has a decent reputation now, because I remember when it first came out, it really wasn't that way. But I know a ton more people like it now, which is, in my opinion, wholeheartedly deserved. Sazeracs is phenomenal, it's my second favorite list demon that I've beaten, and not even the highest Zeptrus level on this list. This is the only Dream Zone extreme that I've beaten, and holy crud, it makes me want to beat all their other rated extremes even though they are all significantly harder. Steel Terrors is definitely a bit learny in nature, but you feel so cool pulling it off just because of how much there is going on the screen as you're playing. It just feels so raw as a result of that. That's also like every Dream Zone extreme ever though, and I don't mean that in a negative way at all, I promise. Dream Zone's style is super unique, very identifiable, and I frankly love it a lot. I can't wait to try out their other levels, as I had a blast playing this. Also, levels like Conclusion have also just been dream levels for me for quite a long time, so maybe it's time I go ahead and get on that. Oh man. I don't know how this level's so old, yet manages to sync so much better than most of the modern extremes that try to focus on exclusively click sync. Penuto was just so ahead of his time in that regard, but I think that's something that modern creators just generally need to work on as well. Now, I couldn't give this level a perfect gameplay score, as there are some bugs scattered throughout the level, like the transition from Jakob's part into Alton's part just not working sometimes, but they are so small that it really felt like a non-issue to me, and the level was just a blast to pull off the entire way throughout my entire experience playing the level. I do also think the decoration has aged quite well actually, as I think every single part just looks solid if not quite good, and obviously the theming was done very well here as well. But you can't also talk about Balak without mentioning the end screen. It's still just insane how they made it all the way back then. This is not actually the oldest level up here on this list though, as you will be seeing said level in just a bit. I really don't know what to say to be completely honest, just a really good level on all fronts. The gameplay is incredibly fun, and even though I got fairly unlucky on it, I still had a really good experience with it as a whole. Obviously the decoration is fantastic and just has incredible cohesion with the song as well, but SD Cubing just did a phenomenal job with this level. And honestly, if there's any easy extreme out there that I would recommend to literally any player out there, no matter the skill set, I would recommend Shurima over everything else, even like the easy extremes that are above it on this list. I don't want to use the word objectively here because literally this entire list is hella subjective, obviously, and obviously my own opinions. But to me, if there's any objectively really good easy extreme out there, I would say Shurima is that level. I know with Polak I just dogged on modern levels for not syncing well, but this level is click sync final boss, bro. Oh my god. It syncs so well it's insane, besides the ending obviously, but Fudinumi did amazingly on this level, especially for it having as many jokes scattered around it as it does. The deco is really good and works well for the purpose of the level. The gameplay, despite being quick sync, also just makes sense and actually functions well, and the song just helps the level stay high energy and up there, if that makes any sense. I feel like I'm a broken record, but really, Ouroboros Starforce 2 is just so good in all of its aspects. I can't lie, I was not expecting Napalm to be as high as it is, but it turns out when you just make a well-themed, good-looking level that's synced really well and doesn't have like any gameplay issues, it's just gonna rank super high. This is like my second extreme as well, so I'm just like, wow, I'm really impressed that it's this high up. Also, this level does not look like it was made in 2020, and I mean that in the best way possible. Napalm has aged really, really well, actually. Holy fuck, I know I just said Napalm has aged really well, but this level has aged incredibly. Like, what? How was this made in 2019? Granted, I don't know all that much about deco generally, but like, if this was released today, I think it would have still been epic worthy. Jenkins just popped the fuck off with this level in my opinion. I really also think that the first half of the level is just so fun to pull off, not to say that the second half is bad by any means, but the first half is just literally flawless in my opinion. It's so high energy, I love how much you were just bouncing around all over the place, and everything just complements everything else perfectly in my opinion. Still, the fact that Zettabyte was made in 2019 just completely boggles my mind. Yeah, the level's unoptimized. I'm sorry, I don't really care. It doesn't change anything about the level for me. This is my current favorite list level at the moment. I know it's not the most popular, but I just think it is such a legitimately beautiful level, and I will never understand why it has such a bad reputation and why some people hate it so much. Like, I can get why some people don't like the gameplay in the first half, particularly in like the first spider and first cube, but I never had any issues with those parts, and they got quite consistent for me quite quickly. I didn't even find the first half to be the hardest part as a whole. And then, oh my god, the drop. While it is harder, I love the drop so much, and I legitimately thought it was just so fun to play and pull off, especially from zero. I frankly just think that some people have a hate boner for mirror portals for some odd reason. Like, I swear, it is not that hard to just sit down for 10 to 15 minutes, get used to how it feels, and then boom, you're good to go. Way too many people out there are that way with mirror, hell, even with stuff like asymmetrical duels as well. Now, the deco, this is one of very few levels out there that I legitimately perceive as, like, art. I just think that Riley managed to encapsulate the feeling and vibe of the song into the deco so incredibly well, and it's just straight up so beautiful to me as a result of that. The color scheme, all the small minute details, that is why it has the best decoration score. I'm sure not a lot of people agree with me on that, but I will stand by my opinion wholeheartedly, like, until, like, the end of time. I love directions so much, and there's a very good reason in my opinion as to why it's my favorite list level. God, how did Dreamtide do this on mobile? It's already such an impressive level as it is, and to completely create and verify this on mobile just is absolutely crazy to me. Endless Dream has such a distinct style, and if I had to describe it in one word, I would say that it's complete. The level just feels complete. I wish I had more I could say, but I legitimately can't think of anything else I really want to, as in this case I think less is more, both in terms of what I have to say, and also as in how Endless Dream was done. The only other thing I want to say is that Dreamtide just absolutely outdid themselves with this level, considering it that it was their first rated extreme that they made. This level's theming is so fucking good, dude. The Paradox team is still the best creating team that has ever existed in the history of GD in my opinion. Their levels just clearly had so much love and care put into them, which Frozen Cave very much shows that. I've also had quite a bit of history with this level, as I started playing this all the way back in like late 2022, only getting dropped to the ending at the time, but every so often afterwards I would just play the dropship part whenever I was bored because that ship is quite literally like top 3 parts of all time. I remembered seeing a tweet from Callie, I think, where it said someone on the Paradox team yelled, "I have an erection," and Tiakivyai heard ship gameplay perfection and went with it, and oh my god, that is so funny yet so true. It's unfortunate that a part of the pre-drop, particularly the UFO and cube clicks from 11 to 20, got messed up due to 2.2, as the rest of the level is so fun to pull off, and got consistent super quickly for me when I finally picked it back up in like May of 2025 or something. I literally beat the level in like 2 days coming back to it, I'm pretty sure. Also, yeah, the deco is still just so good to this day. And Seismix is, I think, probably my favorite GD artist at the moment. They've made so many bangers, and Fright March is no exception. This level means so much to me. I mean that as in, death has changed how I view and think about art on a daily basis. And has also changed my perspective on how video games, and the contents within video games, can truly be perceived as art as well. It really is just that deep to me. Nothing else in my entire history with Geometry Dash has made me feel the things that this level has. To be completely transparent, I have teared up multiple times just by watching a showcase of this level. Death's progression and emotion are truly just unmatched, and I don't think anything in this game will ever top it for me. Death was so close to literally being number 1 on this list, but unfortunately with its gameplay, the first third of the level is by far the hardest part of it, and there is a bug at 25% that is sometimes literally unavoidable. Even if the bug didn't exist, the gameplay would have still gone a 10 personally, but I had to die there multiple times from 0, so it did bring the gameplay score down a point, and brought my enjoyment from a 10 to a 9.9. I still love this level so much though, and it genuinely means so much to me in so many different ways. This is why Zeptrus is my favorite decorator, and it's just generally my favorite creator of all time. This is why I glaze Zeptrus so much, and I really hope people can understand why. Getting to the ending from 0 was also a completely unique but amazing feeling that I haven't gotten from any other GD level ever, and in a way, I wish I could have gotten there more, as the ending is probably one of my favorite parts in any GD level ever at the moment. You'd think I'd be nervous at the ending of an over 9-minute long level, but I'm being so serious when I say that I legitimately just could not stop smiling the 2 times I got there from 0. Death means so much to me, and is probably going to be one of very few GD levels ever to really alter who I am as a person. Take with that information what you will. God, this level uses intensity so well, especially in the build-up and the pre-drop. Unironically, the pre-drop of Shimmer might be like one of my favorites in any level ever. Not to diminish the rest of the level, as the entire level is phenomenal gameplay-wise in my opinion, plus I got pretty lucky only having 1 death at the drop and fluking the ending as well. I'm not exactly sure what the theming was meant to be here, but actually I really do like the color scheme and how it was pulled off. Shimmer is also like one of 2 extremes that I've beaten that I had to beat without shakes, and while I do think that the shakes help with the level's intensity a lot, they make it a lot harder, so I just did myself a solid and beat it without shakes. There are very few circumstances that I don't beat a level on full detail with shakes on, and this is one of those circumstances, along with the other Shimmer actually, as well as levels like Unknown and Cold Sweat. I'm maybe noticing a trend here. Also just a side note, but as I was writing this, I realized that Blank B actually has verified a lot of really good levels. But yeah, Shimmer is really good. I kinda grew up with the Kirby franchise, so it's kinda hard for me to not love Halberd, to be completely fair. The decoration is so well replicated, and obviously the song is a banger, and while I've heard things about the level not being great on 2.2, I'm viewing it from my own perspective, which was back when I beat it during 2.1, and I had almost 0 issues with it, though obviously take my opinion with a grain of salt in that regard. I think there were a couple parts that were a little awkward to learn, but they were never not fun to pull off even at first, and the entire level got consistent fairly quickly after learning it, and it was just a complete blast from there. Bless not Elsa's heart because this level was done so incredibly well, and to be completely honest, even before I made the ranking of every level that was going to be on here, I just knew this level was going to be in the top 10. I literally just knew. I can't lie, if you don't like this level, you are just straight up wrong, and I do not trust you as a person. Loltide is just, again, the GOAT of executing levels with unique themes, and this one in my opinion was definitely done better than how it was done in Rash. Rash is still definitely a good level, but holy shit, Worst Trip is so fucking good. The gameplay was almost perfect, but there was just a few clicks at the drop that felt like they wouldn't ever get consistent no matter what for me, particularly 48 to 50, and that could have very well been my own stupidity, but still just a very small thing. Everything else had 0 issues though. Also, just the way that all the structures and objects move in this level is so satisfying to watch, and it makes you feel even more like a badass when you're playing it, especially in the first half of the drop. Like, holy shit, that part in particular is like top 2 satisfying parts to pull off in any level ever, and it's only beaten by a part in the level that's placed at number 3 on this list. The duel, despite being as learny as it is, gets hella consistent and is also so much fun to pull off as well. There's a damn good reason as to why this level has as good of a reputation as it does, and it earned it 100%. God, Zav is such a goated creator, and I need to beat their other levels so badly, as Apotheosis and X84 both seem absolutely incredible as well. But Ghoul is essentially a perfect level to me, as you can tell, with the song being the only reason as to why it's not a perfect 10 across the board, and obviously that's subjective. The gameplay in the pre-drop is actually pretty simple to learn up until the duel part, and then past that point it is incredibly learny, but everything with this level just feels exponential to me. Once you do a part once, you just keep on getting better and better at it until you can eventually do every single part pretty much every single attempt, which I think is awesome considering how hard Ghoul is. And it also shows that the level doesn't suffer from anything like bugs or choke points. To prove my point about the consistency though, I literally fluked from 45 to 97 on this, and god, that death was the most nervous I had been at the game in a long time when I got that. But the consistency just stayed, and I barely died in the second half of the level at all in comparison with the first half. Just generally speaking, the click pattern of this level is so good as well. It syncs incredibly, and it's just so incredibly fun to pull off, better than anything else in the game in my opinion, as you can tell. I know I haven't said anything about the deco yet, but it is just incredibly fitting with everything else, and was really well done as well. Zav is a generational creator in my opinion, and I cannot wait to play their other levels, assuming that they will be of a similar caliber to this, if not better. The only reason this level isn't a 10 out of 10 overall is because I fucked up my own enjoyment by purposely staying up until 1 AM to beat it, when I should have just gone to bed and beaten it the next day. As unfortunate as it is, that did affect my enjoyment a bit, but I still had a ton of fun with Cupid despite how unlucky I got, dying at the ending over 20 times from zero. I especially found the first half of the level super fun, as I think that the first drop part is legitimately the most fun part of any level in the game, and every time that the song goes, it's legitimately just a chills moment for me every time that I watch a showcase or play the level itself. The decoration as it is obviously incredible, but I think what really makes this level is the transitions between each part. They are just so incredibly clean in my opinion, and make the level so much more engaging. Obviously the theming is on point as well, and it is absolutely not a surprise that this level's decoration is so well done considering how stacked the roster of people that worked on this level is. Out of every extreme that I've beaten, I think Cupid is actually the one that I replayed the most and have the most completions of at this point, even above Firepower, and it is literally perfect except for the fact that I'm dumb and impatient. If you haven't given this a shot before, I would 100% recommend this to anyone. Oh god, this level is also perfect, except I just think the song isn't 10 out of 10 worthy. It's really good, but I'm just not personally a fan of how the voice in the song sounds at the beginning of the ship. But otherwise it's really good. The decoration of Neurostasis is so incredibly impressive, and the progression of the entire ship is just so insanely cool. The gameplay also complements the progression so well, starting off simple obviously, then getting more and more hectic as time goes on, and you wouldn't think that the last few parts would play well because of how much there is going on the screen, but they do play incredibly well, and are really fun to pull off, especially from zero. Speaking of playing from zero, god, this level was just so unique in that regard. Because the second half of the level is so hard to learn, but once you actually have everything down and start going from zero, progress gets made scarily fast. I literally took like 2 to 3 days just to learn the second half, then I learned the rest of it in like an hour, and then once I went from zero, I literally beat it in an hour as well. That sort of thing is why this level has the best gameplay score. Kiwi Penguin truly just made a masterpiece of a level conceptually and executed it in such an interesting yet impressive way. And massive props to them and all the playtesters for making this level play as flawlessly as it does. This level has a reputation for being one of the best extremes ever for a damn good reason. And here we are. $10, no one was expecting this level to be at number 1, but Project Nexus just checks all the boxes off perfectly, whereas no other level that I've beaten so far could. It might not have gotten any awards for individual categories, but every single aspect of it is so strong. The gameplay is synced wonderfully, and I experienced zero issues or bugs throughout my entire time playing it. The deco follows the Madness combat theme perfectly, and also just the concept of a Madness combat level existing at all is just peak. I've been a fan of Madness combat for quite a while before I found out about this level, and needless to say, it did not fucking disappoint. The song is also just so intense, but it's such a banger at the same time, and everything within the level just has such good unity with each other, that when it came down to putting out scores, 10 out of 10s are all I could give this level, and I think it's incredibly deserved. This level 100% deserves more attention, as I believe it has like less than 20 victors at the moment, which is insane considering the quality of the level in every single aspect. Please play Project Nexus. If you see this, I don't think you'll have a bad time with it at all if you go for it. Don't let the fact that it's a Lord Vader craft verification deter you away. Just try it out if it interests you in any way. And that is everything. Holy freaking enjoyer out here, as literally over 2/3 of the levels were over a 7 out of 10 overall. But if you actually watched through the entire video, or even if you just skipped through a good bit of it, I still can't thank you enough for watching. And I very much hope you got some enjoyment, and not hopefully anger, from hearing me ramble about my opinions for an hour and 10 minutes. If you have any feedback, please put it in the comments, as this is my first time ever trying to make a content video. But I am pretty happy with how this came out, and if you enjoyed the video, I would very much appreciate if you smash that like button, and also subscribe if you feel like it. I don't have much else to say, so see ya.